Panafeco, the African perspective.
African geopolitics. Niger ends the illegal and imposed occupation of its territory by the U.S. military. Communiqué. The government of the Republic of Niger brings to the attention of the national and international opinion that on the 12th, 13th, and 14th of March 2024, its representatives, under the authority of His Excellency, Mr. Ali Mohammed Lamine Zine, Prime Minister, had a series of working meetings with an American delegation composed of the Deputy Secretary of State for African Affairs and Chief of Mission, Mali Fee, Dr. Celeste Wallander, Assistant Secretary of Defense for International Security Affairs, General Michael Langley, Commander-in-Chief of AFRICOM, and Kathleen Fitzgibbon, Ambassador of the United States of America to Niger. On the form, the arrival of the American delegation did not comply with diplomatic protocols. Indeed, it was unilaterally, through a verbal note, that the American government informed the Niger government of the arrival date and composition of its delegation, as well as the authorities they wanted to meet, without any specification regarding the purpose of its visit. Therefore, out of courtesy and following our millennial traditions of hospitality, the government received the American delegation. In substance, the exchanges between the two delegations focused mainly on the ongoing military transition in Niger, cooperation between the two countries, particularly military cooperation, and the fight against terrorism. The political orientations and perspectives of Niger, in their aspect related to the choice of partners on diplomatic, military, and strategic levels. It is understood that in the American approach, all three questions are deeply linked. On the ongoing transition and the prompt return to a constitutional and democratic order, the government of Niger reaffirmed its firm commitment to organize as soon as possible the return to normal constitutional life. This is a solemn commitment in full responsibility of the President of the National Council for the Salvation of the Fatherland, Head of State, as expressed in his address to the nation on the 19th of August 2023. On the choice of diplomatic and strategic partners and military cooperation, the government of Niger regrets the intention of the American delegation to deny the sovereign people of Niger the right to choose its partners and the types of partnerships that could truly help in the fight against terrorism, even as the United States of America unilaterally decided to suspend all cooperation between our two countries. Also, the government of Niger strongly denounces the condescending attitude, accompanied by the threat of reprisals from the head of the American delegation towards the government and the population. This attitude is likely to undermine the quality of our long-standing relations and undermine trust between our two governments, already affected by the events of the 19th of October 2023. Regarding specific cases of the Russian Federation and the Islamic Republic of Iran, two countries with which Niger has maintained diplomatic relations for several decades, and which particularly attract the interest of the United States of America, the government wants to inform the population and all peoples of the international community that it has never signed any secret agreements with these partner countries. All agreements signed by Niger since the advent of the National Council for the Salvation of the Fatherland respect international law and transparency rules. Therefore, the government of Niger rejects the false allegations of the head of the American delegation, claiming that it would have signed a secret agreement on uranium with the Islamic Republic of Iran. This cynical approach, usually used to discredit, demonize, and justify their threat against states, fails to recall the example of the Second Iraq War, Indeed, our people and the entire international community still remember the false evidence presented by the American Secretary of State before the Security Council to justify the American aggression against Iraq. And in this matter, the government of President Tanja was falsely accused of providing uranium to the authorities of Baghdad, even though it is public knowledge that the exploitation of uranium was completely controlled by France.
Quant à la Fédération de Russie, il s'agit d'un partenaire avec lequel le Niger traite d'État à État, conformément aux accords de coopération militaire signés avec le gouvernement antérieur pour acquérir
to acquire necessary military equipment for its fight against terrorism, which has claimed thousands of innocent victims under the indifferent gaze of a large part of the international community. Finally, Niger reaffirms its solemn commitment to cooperate transparently and respecting its sovereignty with all countries and peoples who cherish peace and justice in accordance with the rules of international law. Regarding cooperation between the two countries, particularly military cooperation and the fight against terrorism, it must be remembered that the American presence on the territory of the Republic of Niger is illegal and violates all constitutional and democratic rules, which would require the sovereign people, especially through its elected representatives, to be consulted for the installation of a foreign army on national territory. As such, it was through a simple verbal note, number 174 of the 6th of July 2012, that the American party unilaterally imposed an agreement on the status of military personnel of the United States and civilian employees of the American Department of Defense on the territory of our republic. This agreement is not only profoundly unjust in its essence, but also does not meet the aspirations and interests of our people for the following objective reasons. First, it forces Niger to pay bills related to the taxes of American military aircraft, which they should normally pay and which cost billions of CFA francs to the taxpayer. Furthermore, the relevant Niger authorities have no information on military activities carried out from American bases on our territory and are unaware of both civilian and military personnel, as well as American equipment deployed on its soil. Finally, the American Army has no obligation under the agreement to respond to requests for support against terrorist groups that are killing our valiant defense and security forces and massacring our hardworking populations. Also, since the 26th of March 2023 and the advent of the National Council for the Salvation of the Fatherland, the American government unilaterally and abruptly decided to suspend its military cooperation in violation of the agreement they had imposed on our people by invoking Article 7008 of the Consolidated Appropriations Act, without, however, following through with its logic, which would require it to withdraw its military from our territory. Furthermore, in recent weeks, the government has observed illegal activities over its territory's airspace by American aircraft, which raise questions about the sincerity of their partnership and the relevance of maintaining the agreement of military cooperation imposed through verbal note. In light of the aforementioned, the government of Niger, taking into account the aspirations and interests of its people, decides, in all responsibility, to immediately denounce the agreement concerning the status of military personnel of the United States and civilian employees of the American Department of Defense on the territory of the Republic of Niger. Diplomatic correspondence will be sent to the American party for this purpose. Done in Niamey on the 16th of March, 2024.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more echoes of current affairs.